Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about a very important event of the year, which is the Union Budget of 2024. Now, this isn't just another government document, but a very important plan created by the government that outlines how your money will be collected and spent for the country. It covers changes in tax rules and the new tax slabs that can impact how much money will you take home. It helps decide how much money would go to schools, colleges, hospitals, roads, and other services like that. Understanding the budget is really important because it makes people aware how the government decisions could affect their finances, services they use, and the overall economic environment. And that is the reason why every year people eagerly await the budget, hoping it will bring some positive changes to their lives. But what did this year's budget actually deliver? Did it offer any benefit to the middle class, or did it fall short, leading to the usual disappointment? Well, in this video, I'll be breaking down some major highlights of the budget and explore how it can impact the economy and the day-to-day lives of the people in India. So the union budget covers four significant themes. The first one is employment and skilling. The second one is the middle class. The third one is MSMEs, and the fourth one is agricultural sector. Let's start with employment and skilling. According to the Indian Employment Report 2024, India's working population has increased from 61% in 2011 to 64% in 2021, and it is projected to reach around 65% in 2036. However, the percentage of youth involved in economic activities declined to 37% in 2022.
Total chaos in Kalina on Tuesday. The Air India Airport Services Limited was holding walk-in interviews for nearly 2,000 handyman posts. Thousands turned up, leading to a stampede-like situation. In the end, the exercise was called off.
The unemployment rate is increasing both in urban India as well as in rural India, and that is why employment and skilling is one of the top 9 priorities for the government to provide ample of opportunities for all and to benefit both the employers and the employees. And therefore, the Finance Minister introduced 5 schemes referred to as the Prime Minister's Package for Employment and Skilling, with a total allocation of Rs 2 lakh crore over the next 5 years. These initiatives are expected to benefit 41 million youth. So, first scheme was to target first-time employees in the formal sector registered with the EPFO. This scheme offers a 1-month wage up to Rs 15,000 in 3 installments to the first-time employees. Scheme B focuses on job creation in manufacturing. This scheme incentivizes both the employees and the employers for the additional employment of first-time employees, offering benefits based on their EPFO contributions during the first 4 years of employment. Employees with salaries up to Rs 1 lakh will be eligible for this scheme. Scheme C provides support to the employers by reimbursing Rs 3,000 per month for 2 years towards the EPFO contribution for each additional employee with a salary of Rs 1 lakh per month. The remaining 2 schemes under the Prime Minister's package are focused on skilling and providing opportunities for internships, which thereby increases the chances of employability. So the fourth scheme is a sponsored scheme announced for skilling 20 lakh youth over the 5 years in collaboration with state governments and industry, along with upgrading 1,000 industrial training institutes to align with industry skill needs. The last scheme was to offer internship opportunities to 1 crore youth in 500 top companies over the next 5 years, with an internship allowance of Rs 5,000 per month and a one-time assistance of Rs 6,000, providing exposure to real-life business and professional environments. To boost women's participation in the workforce, the budget is also focused on establishing working women hostels in collaboration with industry, alongside organizing women-specific skilling programs and promoting market access for women's self-help group enterprises. For promoting women-led development, the budget carries an allocation of more than 3 lakh crore for schemes benefiting women and girls. Coming to the next theme, the middle class. Now, this is something that I would definitely be interested in since it directly impacts the take-home salaries of most of the people. Starting with the good news first, the Finance Minister has announced a marginal income tax relief for the middle class by raising the standard deduction from 50,000 to 70,000. But what exactly is standard deduction? Well, the standard deduction is a fixed amount that you can subtract from your salary before calculating your taxes. Now, this would reduce your taxable income, which in turn would lower the amount of tax you owe. If you are a startup owner, there's a big news for you. Earlier, according to the Indian Finance Act 2012, every startup that receives funding from an angel investor had to pay a certain angel tax to the government. But now that angel tax has been scrapped by the government for all the classes of investors. To boost Indian startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurial spirit and supporting innovation, the government has taken this move to reduce the financial burden on startups, allowing them to focus more on the growth and development. But on the other hand, coming to the bad news, the budget has also introduced some new tax rates for both the short-term and the long-term capital gain. Short-term capital gains on specified financial assets would be now taxed at a rate of 20% instead of the previous rate of 15%. And the rate for long-term capital gains on all assets has been rationalized to 12.5% without indexation. Now you must be thinking, what exactly is indexation? Well, in simple terms, indexation means making adjustments to keep up with the rising cost so that the value remains consistent over time. It basically adjusts the original purchase price of the property by taking inflation into consideration over the holding period. Previously, this rate was 20% with indexation, and that is why it has not been sitting well with a lot of people, because indexation played a major role in calculating taxes. But according to the finance minister, this aims to simplify the taxation process and the easy computation. Now coming to the next theme of the budget, which is MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises. MSMEs often introduce new products and services into the market and also contribute towards the industry diversification. Supporting MSMEs would encourage innovation and competition in the market. Moreover, MSMEs are major employers, particularly in rural and semi-urban areas. By supporting them, the budget aims to create more job opportunities and reduce unemployment. Therefore, the budget suggests a new credit guarantee scheme to help MSMEs get loans for buying machinery and equipment. This scheme will combine and share the financial risk associated with lending to MSMEs, so they won't need to offer collateral or a third-party guarantee for taking a term loan. Borrowers will need to pay one-time guarantee fee or an annual fee based on the remaining loan balance. Talking about manufacturing, this budget has also placed emphasis on boosting domestic manufacturing and promoting the local value addition. It has also reduced custom duty on X-ray panels, mobile phones and PCBA, which is printed circuit board assembly, to 15%. And the custom duty on precious metals like gold, silver has been reduced to 6%, which makes the price of these metals cheaper than before. The union budget has positioned manufacturing as a cornerstone for India's transformation into a developed nation. With a clear vision to harness the sector's potential into job creation and economic growth, the government has also introduced a set of incentives and policy changes for the sector. To optimize supply chains and reducing logistic costs, the government has decided to make a substantial investment in industrial infrastructure. The development of investment-ready industrial parks and the expansion of the National Industrial Corridor Development Program are some pivotal steps towards creating an environment for manufacturing. The budget mainly emphasizes the government's commitment to the Make in India initiative. The fourth and the last theme of the budget is the agriculture sector. Now there are two schemes under the sector. The first scheme is to release high-yielding and climate-resilient varieties of 32 field and horticulture crops for cultivation by farmers. High yielding means producing more crops and food from the same amount of land. Now this will boost agricultural productivity and is crucial for feeding the growing global population. And on the other hand, climate resilient crops can make sure that the crops can withstand extreme weather conditions, which will maintain a stable food production. The second scheme is to initiate 1 crore farmers across the country into natural farming. Now, natural farming would reduce the cost of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, which would improve the farmers' profitability and their economic condition. There has been a strong emphasis on increasing the crop production, because without it, the income will not grow and the economic condition would not improve. And that is the reason why agriculture sector has been given the third highest funding after defense and the rural development sector. Lastly, let's talk about the political impact of the budget in terms of state allocation, which has been a topic of discussion among a lot of people. So Andhra Pradesh, for its reconstruction, received around Rs 15,000 crore, additional funds for Polavaram project, funds for Vizag-Chennai Industrial Corridor this year, and special funds for 7 backward districts. According to Sitaraman, the Polavaram project is a mega irrigation project on the Godavari River, which will also facilitate food security for the country and was termed as a lifeline of Andhra Pradesh and its farmers. And on the other hand, Bihar was also allocated over 26,000 crore for highways and 11,500 crore for steps to mitigate floods, and 2 new bridges over Ganga River have been announced besides the new airport and the medical college in the state. The finance minister also announced some steps for developing Nalanda University and developing the other tourist spots. Now there has been a lot of notions and opinions around this. A lot of people feel that the finance minister has been too kind and given a lot of money to Andhra Pradesh and Bihar. The obvious reason behind that is that the states are led by the strong allies of the ruling party BJP. Even the opposition party feel it's kind of unfair, and it's a way to reward those who supported the BJP-led government. It's not wrong that the states like Bihar and Andhra Pradesh has received an immense amount of money, but just a pure negligence by the finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman towards the states that has gone through a lot this year is what makes the decision sound unfair. So what I feel about it is a bit diplomatic. I'm really happy with what the government is doing in terms of addressing the unemployment issue in India and focusing on making the youth suitable to be working in a real life environment. Agriculture sector receiving the third highest funding is another great thing that the government is doing, because it makes sure that there's a stable food supply and a better quality of life for farmers. But again, on the other hand, the state allocation thing kind of seems fishy, and I do like to believe that this was a return gift for the supporters of BJP-led government. But let's see what exactly turns out to be. And this was all about the Union Budget 2024. If you found this breakdown helpful, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more in-depth updates and analysis. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. I would love to hear what do you feel about this year's budget. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.